Hello again, YouTubers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Board Game Captain.
And I'm Lynn.
And today we are filming our top 100 games of all time. What is today's date?
April 22nd, 2018.
So as of April 22nd, 2018, this is Lynn's and my top 100 games of all time. We're going to be splitting this into 10 installments. So I'm going to be releasing them fairly quickly to get them out there. We've seen a lot of other channels have been doing their top 100, and it seems really cool, and it looked like fun, and we wanted to do it. We wanted to do our top 100. So we're going to get into it in just a moment. I do have to say, though, before I get started, man, I started to have trouble when I was getting down to, like, the last 20 games, because there were so many games I wanted to fit on the list, and I was like, oh! And there were ones that really hurt to exclude them. In fact, I can see one of them off there. That's one of yours that hurt to exclude.
Well, I had trouble with like the last 32, but it was just because I was struggling with the order because I wrote down 100 games and that I liked.
Oh, so you were pretty easy to pick your top 100.
Yeah,
then.
and
just the order they were in.
And then I just went through them and put them in the order that I enjoy playing them. And the last 30, I was kind of like, I enjoy all these equally. I don't know where to put them.
Fair enough. So now, if you see some reviews come out while we're doing this list of games that we rate highly but didn't make the list, it might just be because we hadn't played the game enough to know if it would be on our top 100 list or where it would be on our top 100 list by the time we filmed it. So again, this is April 22nd is when we're filming this. And without any further ado, we're going to get to it. Now, we've decided we're going to alternate back and forth between each group of 10, each section of the list, because we're going to split this into 10 segments. We're going to alternate who goes first and who goes second. We're going to go back and forth, and I'll let you decide. Do you want, on the first 10, the 91 to 100, do you want to go first or second? Decision?
Second.
Okay, so in which case, I'm going to get right to it. Now, my number 100 favorite game of all time is a game that really says a lot about how much the game industry has improved over the last 20 years. You hear a lot of people talk about it, but it's really true, because if you go back 20 years, this game would have been one of my top 5 games of all time. I'm not exactly sure where it would have been. It's hard for me to say, because I wouldn't have even thought of doing my top games of all time back then, but this definitely would have been in my top 5 of all time 20 years ago. And now it's my number 100, which now again, all of these games on my list, I love. They go from like super like to super love. They're all good games I still really like, but the fact that this game has dropped so far in the last 20 years speaks a lot to how many good games have come out in the last 20 years. And that game is Titan. Now, Titan is a game that, this was one of the old school Avalon Hill bookcase line. And the thing about Titan is it was very interesting. You had this big board with symbols on it that showed you how you moved your units around the board. And when you got to a location after moving a unit, you could reveal certain monsters or warriors in that unit to be able to recruit other monsters from that space. And then you would put them there, but periodically, because you could only have, I think, 7 different monsters in each unit. When it got too many, you'd have to split it and move them in multiple directions. And if you ran into your opponent's pieces, you had a separate pad of little mini boards to fight out a quick battle. And your main, like almost like your king in chess, was your Titan. And if you ever lost your Titan, you were out of the game. Now, the game is still fun, and I will still play it at 2 players. But the problem with this game is it seems like it's meant to be played at larger player counts, and there's player elimination. And this is a game that can go on forever. So I will only play this at 2 players at this point, but I do still enjoy it at 2 players. And this is a game I have a lot of nostalgia with, and I've played many, many times over the years. And that's why it is my number 100 on my top 100 games. Now, this is a game you won't play with me, so I know it's not on your list. Okay, so what is your number 100?
My number 100 is Flux.
Now, just standard Flux, or is this to like encompass all the
Just
Fluxes?
standard Flux, because I was never really a fan of the creepers.
Okay.
And standard Flux
didn't have the creepers back in the day.
Creepers.
I think they re-released it with the creepers now, but we've got the old original Flux when it was black and white.
I mean, I'll play a version with the creepers, but I don't know. They're kind of like a killjoy to me. I don't really.
So Flux still makes your list. I mean, you still really like Flux.
Yeah, well, I had to. It made my list because I replayed a game and then took it off my list. So that's the only reason why.
Wait, no, but it's on your list.
Well, yeah.
Oh, you played a different game that. Oh,
yes.
So Flux got back on your list because there was a different game that you bounced off after you played it recently and
Yes.
didn't like it as much as you. Oh, okay. Well, this is interesting. This one didn't make my list. I don't think I'm ruining too much here for people, but I think that one's kind of gone downhill a bit for me. It's obviously gone downhill for you because this used to be a game you would have rated much higher. But yeah, no. You know what? When this came out, this was a game we played all the time.
Well, because it's a good simple card game, but now there's much better simple card games.
But you still like Flux.
Yeah.
And you'll still pull it out.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, so now down to my 99. So my number 99 on my list is an abstract strategy game from the Gift series by Chris Berm, and that is Czar. Now, Czar is a very interesting game where the board setup is random. You put all the pieces in a bag and you kind of mix it up, and then you put them out on the board randomly. And the idea of the game is that you can jump on pieces, on your opponent's stacks of pieces, as long as they are equal to or less than the number that you have in your stack. Or you can also, and you get to do 2 moves a turn, you can also jump on top of your own pieces to make your stacks bigger. Making them bigger makes them harder to capture because you have to have a stack at least as tall as your opponent's to be able to capture it. And you can move any number of spaces in a row to run into a piece and capture it. And the idea is you've got 3 different types of pieces. You have these ones with no color markings on them that are called tots, I believe. Then you have these pieces with one metallic color marking in the middle called a czarina, and this piece with the 2 kinds of color markings called a czar. And there's the least of these, the second least of these, and the most of these. But the thing is, if you run out of any one of them through capture, you lose the game. So it's a very interesting dynamic of do I play defensively and try to protect the pieces I have less of, or do I play offensively and try to rush in and try to take my opponent's pieces that they have the least of, or do I play tricksy and start early on trying to take their tots, figuring they're going to be protecting their czars. And you know what? It's a really dynamic game, and it's a really cool abstract strategy game. And I also really enjoyed the fact that the random setup means this game is always fresh and new, because every time you play, the setup of the board looks totally different than the last time. I get a kick out of that. So now you're just kind of mad on this one. I doubt it. This didn't make your list, I'm pretty sure. Okay. So what is your 99?
My 99 is Chrononauts. It's a game that you can play single player, which I do because you don't like it.
No, I don't.
But I think it's fun. It has to do with history and time travel, and there's like certain events that are linchpins that you can't change, but then you can change other events, and I don't know. It's a fun solitaire game.
We've had this game for a very long time.
Yes. Is there a date on it? I'm wondering. 2002?
Wow. 2002 you got this?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, I was going to say, because we've had this game a very long time. I actually have to tell you, I'm kind of surprised this still makes your top 100 list, just because how long we've had it. And I had no idea.
It's 99.
Well, you know what? Okay, I didn't know you were still playing this solitaire, because we never play it multiplayer anymore, because I'm not a fan of it well, I don't think I was ever a fan of this one.
No, you never liked it.
No, wasn't for me. So, well, that's your number 99. Yeah, but 99 is still good, considering we have hundreds of games in this house.
Yes.
So anyway, well, that's the thing, is every one of these top 100 are all games we like. I have hundreds of games I like that just couldn't quite make the list. So my number 98. I had to remind myself of the number. My number 98 is a game that hasn't been hitting the table as much as it used to, but I still like it and would still definitely play it anytime someone asked. It's just that it has a lot of competition for worker placement games in our collection, and that is the Manhattan Project. Now, whoops, I had it upside down. Now, the Manhattan Project was one of the the worker placement games that really made the genre of worker placement explode onto the scene. The other of the two being, of course, Lords of Waterdeep. These two games came out around the same time period. Before that, worker placement was kind of like a smaller mechanic that a few games had and hadn't really hit the mainstream of gamer culture. And then those two games, Manhattan Project and Lords of Waterdeep, really made it blow up. And this was a game where it's a worker placement game where each player is playing a different nation. You're trying to be the first nation to get functional atomic weapons, which sounds offensive, but no, it is a proper traditional worker placement. There's not really a lot of attacking each other.
I don't think there's any attack.
There was that one card where you could do an air raid on someone else, but it wasn't super.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was very minor. It wasn't really. There's not really. It's really mostly just worker placement. But this is a really great game, and we played this game a lot, and I still enjoy the Manhattan Project, and I would still play it anytime. If people were like, hey, I've never played Manhattan Project, let's play Manhattan Project, I'd be like, okay, because I do really like this game, and I've got a lot of fond memories of it. So there you have it. The Manhattan Project is my number 98.
Okay, my number 98 is Stones of Fate.
I like this game.
Yeah, it's about the only game that has that memory element that you will play.
Yeah, well, so I like the way the memory element is done in this. And this is one...
Well, I can show the back. There's like tarot-sized cards that you put in a grid.
I love putting the stones next to it and betting on things,
basically. They start face up, and you can try and remember. Well, you have to try and remember what's on the card, because there has to be a certain number of stones on a certain side, and then you can flip the cards over, and if your stones are right, you get to do the ability on the card.
Yeah.
And so there is a certain memory element.
Yes.
Which I like memory games.
This is like the only memory game I like.
Over here next to me doesn't.
But I like this game.
But he likes this one.
Okay, this game did not make my top 100 list, but this is one of those where I struggled. It almost went on my list, but it was one of those where it was just really tough. Like I said, about the last 20 or 30 games, I really had a lot of problems figuring out, and I went back and forth with a lot of games, and this was one of those that I was like, I wanted to get it on the list, but they're just, it's funny how quickly you fill up 100 spots. So, I mean, I didn't quite make it. So now we're on to 97. My number 97. So my number 97 is a game that is new to me within the last year. We picked it up at Gen Con 2017. So we haven't even had it for a full year yet. But we've played it a bunch, and I've quite enjoyed it. And that is Onami. Now, Onami means wave. And this game has this beautiful Japanese watercolor art style, and it has this very interesting mechanic where when you place... It's weird. It's sort of like almost like a tile laying game.
With dice.
Well, you don't roll the dice. The dice are just for control. But dice... No, but I'm talking about the tiles. The tiles are like the cards. And they have numbers in each direction. And when you lay one down, every point you beat the number that's already on the board by, you're allowed to change the ownership in a wave, hence the name wave, in a wave of tiles adjacent to that, all of which have to be, as you go through the wave, the number next to it has to be higher than the number of the one you're changing. And you can change as many tiles as how much you beat the number by of the one you just placed. And you can change the ownership of them to your ownership. And whoever has the ownership of the most tiles at the end of the game wins. And this also has these really cool... They really are dice, but you never roll them. They're dice with different symbols on each side, because each of you gets to pick a symbol to represent your ownership of the tiles as you go through it. And, okay, so now this game is one of the few abstract strategy games I've seen that can play, according to it, up to 6 players.
You can't play up to 6 players.
But I find it best at 2 to 3.
Yes.
I like it at about 2 to 3 players, but still being able to play an abstract strategy game like this at 3 players is pretty awesome, because that's rare. There aren't. I mean, it's like this and what's that pattern forming game?
I don't know.
The one you just put it in the top 10 abstract strategy games. The one by the Czech designer.
Tosh Kolar?
Tosh Kolar. Those are like the only abstract strategy games I can think of that play well at 3 players. So, but yeah, I do like Onami a lot. It's a really good game. So, and I mean, you enjoy it too. You've asked to play it a bunch. What do you got as your number?
My number 97 is this is a mouthful.
It's a tongue twister.
Professor Pugnacious's portfolio of perils, pugilism, and perfidy. Woo.
Yeah, that is 100% a tongue twister of a name. And this is another one that like almost made my list.
Yeah, it doesn't show it on the back, but one of my favorite things about it, it's a deck building game.
Yes, it is.
But it has a thing where it's strange. There's like the cards are sort of in a circle and they rotate, and you can only take from the side that's facing you. So if you want like a card that's on the other side of the circle, you have to wait for it to come around and hope that no one gets it. And
it's an interesting mechanic,
yeah.
And well, she says it's really more like a square, but they do rotate
yeah.
though. No, this was one you like picked this up on a whim.
I just thought the name was funny.
You got this at a local board game store called Games Plus, and you were just looking through their board game selection, and you came back to me and were like, "Oh, I found a game," and this was the game, and then this wound up being one that. Would you say this is because this seems to be, I would say, probably in your top 5 preferred like deck builders.
Yeah.
So you like this one a lot, and it's got some really different mechanics to it than other deck builders. That whole rotating.
It doesn't feel like a deck builder, but it is a deck builder.
It is a deck builder. All right, so now my number 96 is a very small box game, and this is one that I wish hit the table more often, but I like it significantly more than other people I play with, including someone right over here. But that is Sail to India, and this is a small game from AEG. AEG releases a lot of really cool, like little small box games, and this is one of them where you're competing to open a trade route to India. And it's interesting because you have these cards and they're face down, and you're slowly exploring them and finding new cities, and you slowly are flipping up the cards as they're getting closer and closer to making it to India. And along the way, you open up these trade routes where you can trade resources to build up money and buy more ships and buy buildings in the different ports. And I really like this game, actually. I like it quite a bit. It's very involved for a little game, and I have not yet had a bad time playing Sail to India. Now, I know it doesn't hit as strongly for you because you don't ask to play this one.
No,
it's just
meh.
It's just meh for you. See, I like this one a lot, though. So that's for me. That is my number. I mean, I keep forgetting the numbers were out. My number 96, Sail to India.
My number 96 is Sentient.
Yes, that is how you say it.
Yeah. No, it's just...
You said it like a question mark.
No, it's because stuff was moving in it. Oh. It's weird, and there's it's kind of brain burny.
Oh, it's very brain burning. This game like breaks my brain when we play it, but it's great.
Yeah, they're I don't know. It's just there's dice. I do like dice. That's probably why. But the reason it's on my list is there's lots of dice.
But you also, like, as much as you complain about them, you generally do like brain burning games that are like a puzzle. And this game is like a puzzle. You have to plan like 3 or 4 moves ahead.
Yeah.
And this is a really good game. I thoroughly agree with your choice in Sentient because I love it too. Spoiler alert, might be higher on my list. But yeah. So what is your favorite thing about Sentient?
The rolling of the dice at the beginning of every turn.
And then trying to figure out where to put each one, or?
Not trying to figure out where to put them. They go on certain colors.
Oh, they do go on certain colors.
Just rolling them. I just like rolling dice.
So your favorite thing about the brain burning, amazingly involved game is rolling the dice? Okay, fair enough. All right, so my number 95 is a game that I can nearly guarantee will be higher on Lynn's top 100 list, because that number 95 game is Bill and Ted's Excellent Board Game. And Lynn has talked many times about how much she likes Bill and Ted's Excellent Board Game. Now, the thing about this game is that it may seem, like the theme is very lighthearted and silly, and it is, but this game is also very brain-burning. This is a programming game. You're like, oh, Bill and Ted's Excellent. It's going to be silly. It's going to be, lighthearted. It's going to be very low on the rules. No! This gets crazy in how much thinking you have to do to set up every turn. So you play cards which set up some programming for where your piece is going to move. But they also move the bad guys. And depending on the initiative of your cards, you're kind of wagering on who's going to get to go first. And then as you move around, you pick up chits that represent the different historical characters. And the chits on following turns get flipped over and add more commands automatically to your programming before your cards. It becomes super brain burning. And when you get a lot of chits, there's points where you're like, oh my God, okay, wait. So I'm going to turn left, go forward, then about face, then turn right, then go, wait, start over. And it's like, yeah. So I actually really enjoyed this game. I was really surprised how much I enjoyed this game. This was another one that you bought just because you love the theme.
I did, and I also bought it because on the back, it has like these little numbered like cartoon boxes, and one of them was pass your history tests, and there's no history test in here to my chagrin.
You were hoping
I was hoping there was actually like you had to pass a history test, but no.
Oh, okay.
I bought it half for the history test, half for Bill and Ted.
I am so glad there was not a history test. What is your number 95?
Oh, my 95 is Categories.
A classic.
Yes, this is the new version because our older one fell apart.
Yeah.
It has the spiffy new timer.
Well, the older version we had was one I think I've had since the 80s.
Yeah. But this is probably my favorite party game.
You don't like party games in general. So,
but if it's like a word game, where with limited interaction with other players, where you're just like doing your own thing.
And for those who have never played Categories, though I'm sure there's a few out there, the basic gist is you roll a die. You have a list of, the die gives you a letter, you have a list of categories, and then you have a limited amount of time. Everybody has to come up with something in that category, in each of those categories that starts with the same letter. But if you have this, at the end, you read out loud your answers, and if you have the same answer as someone else, neither of you get a point for it. But if you have a unique answer, you get a point for it. And if it's actually part of the name and it has multiple words that start with the same letter, you can get multiple points. This is a really fun game. I've always liked Categories. In fact, it's probably my favorite language-based game. I would have to hazard a guess. So now we're on to number 94. Number 94 for me is Artifacts Inc. Now, Artifacts Inc. is it is a game by Ryan Lockett, who is a very famous designer. He is the main designer and artist for Red Raven Games, and they do a lot of really cool games, all of which are kind of loosely in the same universe. Now, Artifacts Inc. is a game about kind of being an archaeologist, but in reality, I mean, it's basically a dice worker placement game, and it's shrunk down to a small size, because rather than using a big board, most of it is really just cards that tell you what dice you need to get the cards and to earn points and such. And this is just a really well done game. Like, we got this a few years ago, and this is a game that just I'll never not play. I do really enjoy it. The artwork is gorgeous. Ryan Lockett is a very accomplished artist and a very accomplished game designer. And this is one of the games that really put him on my radar as a designer. Because after this, when I would see a game, I'm like, oh, it's by Ryan Lockett. Like, he's that guy who did Artifacts Inc. And that's a good thing. So yeah, this is a good one. If you ever get a chance to try it, I do recommend it. And I know you like this one too.
Yeah, you might be seeing it.
Oh, okay.
In the future.
Spoilers.
At some point.
Spoilers.
Okay, what number are we on?
Artifacts Inc. was my number 94.
Okay, my number... Blah.
Blah, blah, blah?
My 94 is Bring Your Own Book. What?
Bring Your Own Book.
Bring Your Own Book. It's not quite a game, but they claim it's a game.
It's kind of a party game, too.
It's kind of a party game.
And actually, you said that Categories was your favorite party game.
I don't really consider this a party game.
And it's totally a party game.
Okay, well, it's got cards where there's two options on the card. So you pick one of them. It'll say like a line in a ransom note, or the most emotional moment in an opera, and you have to...
Everyone brings a book.
You each have a book that you have chosen, and you have to flip through that book and find something in there within the time frame. that describes that.
It's the first person finds it, and then they flip the timer, and everyone's got a limited amount of time to find theirs.
So once the first person, I think they have to say, like, got it or something, and then the timer flips, and then the rest of the people have that amount of time to find something that answers the question. And it's like, if you haven't found anything, you can just randomly open a page and pick a line. And sometimes that's great and it works out, and sometimes it doesn't.
It's interesting also how when you get to certain levels of points, you actually pass your books around in a circle and have to give the book you brought to someone else. I forget how many points it is, but you all rotate.
Pass the book, so everyone uses every book there once.
At least once,
it ends when your own book comes back to you.
Yeah. So, okay. You do get the most of the time with your own book. Mm-hmm. We did a review of this, and okay, I don't dislike this game. I think this game is fine. But my biggest problem with this game was, it says you're supposed to give points based on the phrase that best fits the category, but in reality, in practice, the funniest one always wins. So when I realized that, I started taking ridiculously silly books, and the book that used to win it for me constantly when I brought it was the Beavis and Butthead Encyclopedia. and that's the thing is, when you bought this book, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to be picking these wonderful highbrow works of literature.
You tried that at first.
It didn't work.
It didn't work.
No. And that was the thing, was like I was bringing like great works of literature. Like I brought The Algebraist by Ian M. Banks to a game of this and lost horribly. And then I brought the Beavis and Butthead Encyclopedia and won with flying colors. And I think that's what ruined this game for me. So...
I don't know.
But you still like it.
I still like it.
That's fair. That is fair. Now that was
94.
That was your number 94 indeed. So my number 93 is another brand new game on me, and I've only gotten to play this a few times. We haven't reviewed it yet, but we're going to. A little bit of a spoiler alert. I like this game quite a bit. In fact, I could almost see this game going higher on my list after I've played it more. But this game is Andromeda. Now, Andromeda is a bit of there's a bit of exploration in it. You're exploring this derelict spacecraft. And that is a big part of the game. But the bigger part of the game is this dice rolling, I split, you choose mechanic. So at the beginning of every round, you roll a bunch of dice, and then you split them up into groups, into a number of groups equal to the number of players, and you go around the table, and each player gets to take one of the groups you split up plus one die, and it's like weird. Like you get to offer a group, like, would you like this group? And the person says no. And then you go to the next person. Would you like this group? No. And then if nobody wants it, then you have to take the group. Mm-hmm. But you basically split it up and you offer it to everybody. And this is I really like the way that mechanic is done. The whole offers and the going around the table. And I really get a kick out of that. And this is one I want to play a lot more in the future because I really want to explore it. I really want to explore. I know that's not a pun intended, even though this is about exploring a derelict spacecraft. I really want to explore this game. It's a really cool game. Mm-hmm. So, do you agree with me on that?
Yeah,
do you like that one?
I like it too. I think it may have made my list.
Oh, okay. We'll see.
My number
93
is a game that you won't play with me. And it is the Pathfinder Adventure card game.
Let's be fair. I played this game with you a lot.
You did.
And now, out of curiosity, why did I start refusing to play this game with you?
Because I always got us killed.
Yes. That would be why. So, no, to be fair, I don't think it's the game's fault. I don't think there's anything wrong with the game. But you got us TPK'd in that game like 6 times. And we never got past the first module because of it.
I still think we should have just,
No, you don't know. We do not cheat in this house. We do not cheat.
Grade yourselves on a curve.
Nope.
We could have just skipped ahead.
We do not cheat.
Who's gonna call us out? It's just us. It's a 2-player co-op thing.
I think. Can you play this one solitaire?
I think you can.
Yeah, it says 1 to 4. Well, have you tried playing it solitaire yet?
I haven't.
You should probably try because you like solitaire in game. You solo a lot of board games. You should try playing this one solitaire and then maybe report back to me. Let me know is a cool solitaire.
So I can just kill myself over and over.
Yeah, well, then you could spare me the misery of being in the party that gets killed a lot. Spoiler alert: this game did not make my list. So, my number 92 is a game that when we got it when it first came out, we played the heck out of this game. We played it constantly, and that is King of Tokyo. Now, King of Tokyo is a game designed by Richard Garfield, and it's about the theme is about being giant monsters, or kaiju as they're known in Japan, fighting over Tokyo. But in reality, this is just a really cool press your luck dice game where you want to be king of the hill and hold on to that hill, and that hill is Japan, while fighting off the other monsters, but you can only heal yourself when you leave. So usually there gets to be a point where someone injures you enough that you're like, okay, I'm out. You get points every turn, though, that you're able to hold on to Japan. And then once you're out, you heal yourself back up and beat up on the new monster that's in Japan, in Tokyo, and try to get them to get out so you can take it over. It has a fun theme, and this is, in my opinion, this is one of the best, it's up there definitely, it's one of the best press your luck dice games out there. Press your luck dice is a very simple sort of mechanic, but this game does it really well. Mm-hmm. So, any comments on King of Tokyo?
I agree.
Okay.
My 92 is what we're on, right?
Yes, 92.
My 92 is Zombie Pox.
I'm a little surprised this made your list.
Why?
Just a little.
It's a solitaire game.
But you can play this multiplayer, and it's fully co-op when you do.
You could play multiplayer, but I mean, I think it works best as a solitaire game, actually.
So have you played this a lot, solitaire?
I have.
Oh, okay. So this is one of your because I know you solo games, like times when I'm at work and you're here at home, you solo a bunch of games. So this is one of your go-to solo games then?
Yeah, I enjoy it.
What do you got to say more than that, though?
What, like how to play it?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's
I mean,
it's about vaccinating people.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, they like some doctors or something made this up to show how herd immunity works.
Yeah, basically.
So, because you can't vaccinate the babies.
Yeah. Those babies are a weak spot.
Yeah. So it basically shows that if everyone around the baby is vaccinated, then the zombie plague cannot spread to the baby. And you lose when you lose all the babies.
Yeah, the zombie theme on this is a bit light. It's really much more about vaccination and disease.
It's teaching. It's a teaching game to teach about stuff that people, need to know about.
Now that being said, though, I mean, I don't dislike this game at all. I like this game. It just didn't make my list. And this is a fun it's actually, in my opinion, this is one of the better co-ops that we have. Actually, I do like playing a co-op. And now here's the thing, I'm not a big solo gamer like you are. So I think I soloed this once just to try it out before we reviewed it, because we did review this one back in the day. This was one of our earlier reviews. But I like this co-op. Like you and me, when we would play it, we haven't played it in a while together, but when we would play it, I did enjoy it. And it's fun. It's a fun game. And it can be very strategic, and it's a lot about playing the odds. Like, oh my God, is it going to go right? Is it going to go left? Which way do we vaccinate?
Who do you cure? Who do you vaccinate?
Who
do you let become a zombie?
Yes. But no, that is a good game. Okay, so now my number 91, and then our number 91s are the last ones on this segment of the list here. So my number 91 favorite game of all time is Neuro Shimmer Hex. Now, Neuro Shimmer Hex is a very odd sort of game that I really like. I really do enjoy this game quite a bit. It's weird though, because it's sort of a battle strategy game, but not really. It's like a tile laying game. And you put these tiles out that represent your soldiers, and they have symbols on them that show in which direction they're going to attack. And then your opponent puts tiles out that do the same. And what happens is eventually someone is going to play a tile that says battle. And when the battle happens, everybody attacks in initiative order. So you go, okay, we start with this initiative, and okay, he kills him, so he's not going to get his attack because his initiative was lower. And you go through it, and then you keep going. And it's hard to explain because it's so unique. They actually, though this game has been quite popular, and they actually are this year the company Portal Games is reinstituting the mechanic in a fantasy game. They're going to be doing Neuro Shimmer Hex all over again in a fantasy game. But Neuro Shimmer Hex itself has been out for quite some time, and they've done 1 million expansions, where each expansion is a different faction with a new asymmetrical abilities. Because this game itself comes with 4 different factions, each one of which is totally unique. Now, I never got into getting the expansions for this, and there are a lot of them. And the main reason I didn't get into it is because you don't like this game nearly as much as I do. I only really ever play this game with Alex. Alex and I will play it, and we play it once in a while. It does compete with a lot of other games, which is why it's not higher on my list. I wish you liked this game more, because if you did, I would have gotten more of the expansions and played more of it. But this is a game I thoroughly enjoy. It's very puzzly, and I love planning out the whole fight. And then I love, because there's always times where you can discard tiles that you don't want and move on, and like you get a battle and you're like, oh, I'm not ready for the battle. No, that tile's going away. And you wait until later, and then you're like, okay, now I'm ready for the battle. And you slap it down, and all hell breaks loose. But that is my number 91, Neuro Shimmer Hex. So what is your number 91?
My number 91 is a game that I'm terrible at, and I wish I was better at it. It's, I don't know which way to put it, Arcadia.
Well, this side has the designers on it.
Okay.
It's a giant, like, it's a weirdly shaped.
It's a big cube.
Not quite. It's actually kind of a rectangle. It's taller than it is wide. It's a very odd box. It's a very odd box. But this.
It's like I do like the game.
Yes.
But it's like I'm terrible at it, and once we start, I'll ask to play it, and we'll start playing it, and then I'll start losing horribly, and then I'll start complaining, and then I'll be like, I hate this stupid game, and then like 3 months later, I'll ask to play it again, and everything. Yeah,
it all. Well, I have actually seen you at the end of a game after being all upset. You go, I'm sorry, game. I don't really hate you. It's just me. I wish I was better at you. Like, you'll explain to the game. I've seen you do it. It's hilarious.
I don't know why I'm so terrible at this game.
This is one that just missed my list. I really like Arcadia. I love the whole building an amusement park theme. Back in the day, I loved that video game, Roller Coaster Tycoon. And I used to love building amusement parks. And this is a game that gives me that same thrill of building an amusement park, which is an awesome theme. I love building an amusement park. I wish you didn't get angry at it though when you refused to play it for a while, because it is a really cool one. So there you have it. That is the first installment of Lynn and my top 100 games of all time. Those are our 100 through 91. Stay tuned, because our 90 through 81 is going to be coming very soon. In fact, I'm going to be releasing these in addition to the normal videos I'm going to be releasing a video a day for a while until the top 100 games are done. So stay tuned for our next part of our top 100 games of all time. Feel free to comment down below and tell us what you think of our picks for our 100 through 91 on our top 100 games of all time list. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see us do more videos like this, make sure to give this video a like, share it on all forms of social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Kaptain. That's Kaptain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.